Up to this point, we've been diagnosing the problem. Now we need to understand the design, because once you understand the design, the outcome stops looking random. Most filmmakers assume stability comes from scale, from bigger budgets, bigger festivals, or from landing the right distributor. But here's an uncomfortable comparison. A content creator with 10,000 retained subscribers begins their next release with leverage. An award winning filmmaker without retained access begins with hope. And it's not because the creator's work is better, it's not because they're more disciplined, it's because their system retains permission. And most filmmaker systems do not. So let me slow that down and get specific. When a creator uploads a video and 10,000 people watch it, the views are not the asset. The asset is the subscription, the notification layer, the email list. The fact that thousands of those viewers can be reached again without asking anyone with access is the asset. That changes the math of the next release. The next upload does not begin in a vacuum. It begins with known demand. When you have a reachable base, it reduces uncertainty. And even modest growth improves the starting position. 1,000 subscribers becomes 1,200. 1,200 becomes 1,500. It doesn't need to explode, it just needs to accumulate. Now, you compare that with the typical independent film path, right? You write the script, you raise capital, you produce, you finish, you premiere, and you secure placement. You generate all the attention you can, and then the cycle ends. The audience that watched your film is not yours. You cannot contact them directly. You can't notify them when the next project is ready. You can't measure their lifetime value. The visibility was real, but the permission was never captured. So the next release carries the same risks, the same funding pressure, the same uncertainty, the same exposure. Nothing about the last win reduces the risk of the next attempt. That's the structural difference. Creators operate inside a system that retains access. Filmmakers are trained inside systems that transfer it. Now, this is not about YouTube as a platform, it's about infrastructure. A creator understands that the business is not the video, the business is the retained relationship between the videos. The relationship lowers the marketing cost over time, it lowers launch friction, and it reduces volatility. When the algorithm fluctuates, the creator still has a list. When ad rates stop, they still have direct reach. The asset persists between releases. The independent film, most of the energy goes into the project, not the layer that survives the project. Festivals generate momentum, platforms generate exposure, press generates spikes. But unless those spikes feed a system you control, they remain isolated events, and isolated events do not produce continuity. Here's a quiet truth. Stability is not created by scale, it's created by reach, retained reach. A creator with 50,000 subscribers has a predictable communication channel. A filmmaker with a breakout hit and no audience database doesn't. Now, that's not an insult, that's just structural math. One model improves its starting condition with every release, and the other re enters the market dependent on external amplification. If you want to understand career durability, stop asking how big the last launch was. Instead, ask how many people can you reach tomorrow without asking permission? How many can you email directly? How many have demonstrated interest that can be reactivated? If the answer is 0 or close to it, then your stability is temporary, no matter how visible the last release felt. Audience ownership is not a marketing decoration. It is operational continuity. It is the difference between renting attention and controlling communication, between hoping to be surfaced and being able to speak. And that difference determines whether the next release begins with leverage or with exposure. The creator who last are not chasing virality. They are building retained reach. They are making sure that every project feeds something that survives it. So the real question is not whether your next film will be better than your last, but whether your next release will begin with continuity or dependency. And that choice determines everything.